Hey there, Krafty Friends. This is Jen from Katahdin Krafts, and I'm so excited to be April's guest designer for Newton's Nook Designs. I have been a Newton's fan for quite some time now, often working with their products. For today's card, I was inspired by our global events. This idea popped into my mind a couple of weeks ago when everything started getting both scary and confusing. Newton's has some great travel stamps, and I wanted to show global unity in my project. I've often stated how crafting is my therapy. Well, right now we all need some sort of mental outlet for sure. So please stay safe, everyone. Stay home if your job allows, and find your personal mental outlet. For this card, I used several different stamp sets. The first one is Newton Dreams of Italy, then Newton Dreams of Paris, Newton Dreams of New York, and Newton Dreams of London. Then I also used their cloud stencil and Fawn's Foursquare backdrop for my background. Now I stamped with a Copic friendly ink onto Nina Solar White 110 pound cardstock, and I did all of the kitties in the same pattern, in the same colors. So I'm just going to show you one and then just know that I did all four the same exact way. And the Copics that I used on the kitties were Y35, Y38, YR15, and YR16. And then the ears, I used an R20. Now I just blended. I start from the light and go to the medium and then to the dark, and then I go back. And I wanted a space to be a little bit lighter, so I made sure that I only went over that area once. And then when I got to the desired blending that I wanted, I went ahead and I added his tiger stripes. So I normally do just like 3 right down the middle of his face, and then I did some on his tail as well, and then a couple on his cheeks. And now for the Empire State Building, I'm doing N0, N2, and N4. And I'm just doing simple coloring on this. There's a lot of spaces that I left white. I wanted all the windows to be white. If I use the stamp set again, or when I use the stamp set again, actually, because I absolutely love all of these Newton Dreams, I think that I want to try to do a nighttime one where I put some yellow into those windows and make it look like it's lit up. I was trying to give it a three-dimensional look with the shadowing, so I went on each section of the building and put the darker color marker on that. And then I went right into Big Ben, and I used E51, E53, E55, and 57 for this one. So I did do 4, and I just I laid it down the complete E51 first, and then I went in with the 53 a little bit, and then again the 55. I go from light to darkest, and then I go back to the light E51, and I just went down the whole entire card to blend it all out again. So nothing really fancy on this, but it gave a good dimension and some nice shadows. And it was actually not that long ago that we took the kids and we went to New York City, and we actually went into the Empire State Building with them. It was really neat to see, and especially with everything that's happening in New York right now, I'm glad that they had that experience. And next is the Brooklyn Bridge, and I used N2, N4, and N5. And again, I just do the light, and I do some shadows with the darker, and then I blend it back out with the light. And then for the British flag, I used B24 and B28 for the blues. And then I just did a stripe of R27 and trying to leave some white space as well, so I get all the 3 colors in there. So I just did a little little lines with the R27. And then for the New York shirt, I wanted more of a white shirt, but it kind of came out a little bit gray. I did want to show some shadowing and some dimension. And so that kind of turned a little bit grayer than I wanted, but I was okay with it at the end. And then I just touched in that heart with a little bit of red, R14 and R17. And I did the same thing with the Italy shirt, except actually with New York I used T0 and T1. And with Italy I went to the cool colors, so I used C00 and C01 and did the same thing with some shading. And then on that heart I added a little green, G3 and G5, and then the red on the other side, which was R14 and R27. And then moving into the French flag, I used again R14, R17, and R27. And then the blue was the same that I used in the British flag, which was B-24 and B-28. And now we're going on to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and that is W1, W3, and W4. So I used some warmer gray shades. There was a lot of buildings in this, so I wanted to vary the shading a little bit, or the colors of them. And on that flag, I just wanted to make it also look like an Italian flag up there. So I went ahead and put just a little dot of green and a little dot of red. And now I'm doing the Eiffel Tower, and that was in C1, C3, and C5. And then they have these like little squigglies in between each layer, so I did those with a little bit of brown, just E31 and E34. Next, I cut out my background panel using Lawn Fawn's Foursquare backdrop, and I removed the four squares because I did want to put a little bit of background on those. So I started off with some Distress Oxide ink and tumbled glass, and I did the top of each square, or actually they're rectangles, sorry. I did the top of those, and then I just wanted a little bit of like skyline color, so I added a little shaded lilac and a little tattered rose, and then I'm just going to go back in with the tumbled glass and blend those all out. I'm just getting a little pretty sky going on. And then for the bottom, I went ahead and I used some mowed lawn with the Distress Oxide inks. And I didn't want to get smudgy fingers, so I just grabbed a piece of scrap piece of paper and just use those in order to not touch the blue, and then put my fingerprints everywhere, because that's what happens. I'm quite the messy crafter. You should see my craft room after I'm done with a project. It's a disaster. Okay, and so once I got all that done, I grabbed the Newton's cloud stencil, and I just wanted to put a little bit of interest in those skies, so I used Hero Arts unicorn ink and went ahead with a small section of the clouds on each of those, and just sponged on a little bit of ink just to give it, like I said, a little bit of interest, a little bit of background sky. For my card base, I used Chili Red Classic Card by Tonic Studios. I cut it in 5.5 by 8, and then I scored it at the 4.25 inch. And then I just used a bone folder to make sure I had a nice crease. I'm using liquid glue on this frame in order to put it down and have a little wiggle room. As you can see, I always need to make sure I have the wiggle room because I never get it on there perfectly to begin with. So I just adjust that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put enough glue in each panel to pop those 4 rectangles right back into those spots. Just creating the background. And again, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper in order to eliminate some of the fingerprints and push that down and get those nice and secure. And then it's time to assemble our card. I was really excited when I started assembling this card because, like I said, it's been in my mind for a couple of weeks now, and probably like a lot of us, I haven't been sleeping well, so I've been thinking at night, like waking up random times at night thinking about Newton's stamps and how I was going to make this card work. And so like seeing my vision come to life was really cool. And these 4 particular areas are really hit hard right now. We have England, Italy, France, and the United States. So it's definitely time to show support and love and unity for each other in this global epidemic that we're having. And seriously, who doesn't feel the love when looking at these stamps? Newton is super cute and can bring a big, huge smile to a lot of people. So to finish off my card, I wanted the sentiment that says we are all in this together. And because there's nothing out there that I've seen so far that has that, I went ahead and I printed it on my printer, and then I just used a banner die and cut that out and used foam dots and attached it to my finished project. Thank you so much to Newton's Nook Designs for this awesome opportunity. This card is definitely one of my most favorite that I've ever made. And please check out their website for all the details. It's at newtonsnookdesigns.com. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit the like button below. I really would appreciate your support. Stay safe, everybody. Until next time, keep crafting.